The day I got pregnant, my husband brought his pregnant mistress home. He said he hated me and wouldn't allow me to give birth to his child. Later, I miscarried. He broke down. The weather was cold. Susie sat in the dining room in an evening dress, motionless and lost in thought. At 10:59 p.m., there was still no sign of him returning. Originally, there were candles burning on the dining table, but they had long since gone out, and the food had long since gone cold. Would he not come back tonight? In recent months, he had been coming home later and later. She and Lawrence had been married for 5 years, from their campus romance, to getting married right after graduation, to now always being loving and sweet. Recently, maybe because of something at the company, he had been coming home late. She had always thought it was like that, but today, she wasn't so sure. At noon, she had seen him walk out of an apartment with a strange woman, wanting to rush over and ask him who that woman was, but she was too timid. So, at that moment, she hid, not daring to let him see her. There was the sound of an engine outside, and soon footsteps approached. The tall man, still the one she was familiar with, appeared in her sight. Lawrence's eyes flickered when he saw she was still there. "Have you eaten?" Susie heard his voice, still with warmth and concern, and her heart warmed. She shook her head. Lawrence's gaze swept over her. He bent down to touch the edge of the plate. It was cold. "I'll heat it up." Actually, it was always him cooking at home. He never liked her going into the kitchen, saying that women should be pampered by men. Thinking of the sweet times, Susie's eyes brimmed with warmth. She should trust him. She got up and walked in, hugging his waist tightly from behind, her head buried in his back. Susie's nose twitched. She shook her head, wanting to ask who that woman was, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Maybe she was afraid of hearing an answer she didn't want to hear. "Honey?" Susie decided it was better to ask, to avoid any misunderstandings between them. Susie rubbed her face against his back, feeling the familiar scent of the man. The words reached her lips, but she swallowed them back, not daring to ask. She suppressed the gloom in her heart, raised a bright smile and said cheerfully, "Today is our wedding anniversary." "Sorry, honey, I was so busy I forgot." "It's okay, I forgive you. You have the whole night to make it up to me." Ignoring her shyness, Susie held him tightly, as if afraid he would disappear. "Honey, I miss you." Lawrence turned off the stove, turned around and kissed her deeply. He bent down to pick her up and hurriedly walked upstairs to the bedroom. They had been married for so many years, but they didn't have any children. She had always wanted to have a baby, but he always had reasons to refuse. At this moment, his phone rang. She had just come back to her senses when she saw him hurriedly get out of bed to grab his phone. "Hello?" "Yes, I know, I'm coming over right now." His gentle voice deeply hurt her ears, and her heart felt like it was being pierced by a thorn. She had thought his gentleness was reserved only for her, but now she realized he could be so gentle to others right after their intimate moment. Watching him quickly get dressed and head out, Susie frantically climbed out of bed. "Honey, where are you going? It's so late." Something came up. "You should get some rest." Lawrence's cold demeanor made Susie withdraw her hand that wanted to hold his hand. This was a look he had never shown her before. Watching his retreating figure, so unfamiliar, Susie felt unprecedented panic and instinctively followed. She didn't even have time to put on shoes. "Honey," chasing him downstairs, she saw Lawrence supporting the woman she had seen at noon, his voice tender and full of concern. "Why did you come over? And dressed so lightly?" "Lawrence." The woman saw Susie and instinctively hid in Lawrence's arms, looking like a fragile bird seeking protection. "Wait for me a moment." They lowered their heads to talk, their intimate posture stabbing Susie's eyes. How could this be? This woman appeared in their home, disregarding her. Even if there was nothing going on, shouldn't they at least greet her? Lawrence comforted the woman and then hurriedly walked past Susie as if he didn't see her. "Shouldn't you explain this to me?"